with Bitcoin specifically, are you worried that Bitcoin hasn't kept up with gold's performance?
I think it will catch up. I think, as I've mentioned before, and as you would agree, all of these are ultimately driven by flows. We need buyers in the marketplace. And I think it's inevitable that there will be more buyers at the institutional level for Bitcoin adoption, but we have to move that agenda with a little bit more focused deliberation. I do think that's why when we talk about gold in the context of Bitcoin, the first prong that we all attach to is whether the strategic reserve can be allocated to actually buy Bitcoin for the US, in which we are sitting on a bunch of paper gains with gold in particular, right? Because gold has been marked at the treasury at $42 an ounce. And we all know right now it's trading at $38.50. That's 100x, right? That's 100x that we're sitting on. And if you do the math, that's a
great investment.
hugely profitable investment, and reflexive in some nature as well as to what the US was able to accomplish with on the back of the dollar. But there's $1 trillion of basically paper gains, right? And $1 trillion actually, it sounds big to us, but it's probably not that big in the grand scheme of how indebted the country itself is, right? $33 trillion of US debt out there. So $1 trillion, maybe it's actually not that big of a reval event anymore. So this is kind of, I think, the tension as to do we do it, do we not do it? If we do it, doesn't move the dial that much. But the thing that is really interesting then is, hey, what if we then actually do find a way to find liquidity, a funding-based liquidity on the $1 trillion of gold and buy Bitcoin? And $1 trillion of Bitcoin is actually hugely impactful for the Bitcoin market. And so if there's a way to unlock the ability to build leverage on the paper gains of gold to take a call option on Bitcoin, there's something incredible here that could happen. And the math is pretty simple. If you own Bitcoin and you assume that it's going to go up by 12% a year, you'll make a 30x in 30 years, right? I mean, it's actually going to be able to cover most of the fiscal deficit hole that exists. And if you think it's actually going to go up by 40% per year, which is what the CAGR has been otherwise annualizing, it's 10 years. So the idea of having a gold revaluation event that's Bitcoin aligned, I think is really the most interesting political and economic story that reimagines the opportunity set to be so much bigger than what even MicroStrategy.
Here's what's interesting to me is, let's say that works.